Welcome, everyone. So there's some new faces here tonight, and we have a bunch of people online as well. So we're really excited for those of you who are returning with us for this multi-part series. But what we've done is gone around and just had one person introduce the company and just do a bit of introduction, what company you're from, kind of what the area kind of service, and and what you guys do. Right. So we specialize in lawns or whatever like that, just to go around. And then someone's going to introduce the people that are online as well. So we're going to hear, there's quite a few more people online tonight. So Trevor is going to hand around the mic. So Trevor gets to pick who we're going to put on the spot, who we're going to talk to first.
Hello. There we go.
Thank you, Trevor.
My name is Trevor Garner. I'm with Landscape Plus. Welcome everyone tonight. And we do snow, landscape maintenance and landscape construction in the Kitchener-Waterloo Guelph area.
Good example. Round of applause for Trevor, everyone. There we go. Start strong.
My name is John Lunny, and I work in the insurance industry, the lovely insurance industry. Yeah, boo.
Boo.
Yeah, I help out a lot of the Waterloo, Hamilton, Cambridge. I'm a broker for 10 years now. So yeah, pass it over to.
Yeah. Hey, I'm Rob Bolger. I work at Bobcat of the Tri-Cities and of Grey Bruce, and I'm on the board in Waterloo chapter as well. And I have brought out Lindsay this evening. It's my first meeting ever.
Thank you for having me. Yep, I also work with Rob at Bobcat. Just recently joined sales, so he brought me along to see what's happening.
Welcome.
I'm Antonio from Riverwood Landscape. We're primarily a snow and maintenance company. Hi, my name is Ahmad Hasna. I'm the owner of Makeup Landscaping. I started this business like 5 months ago. I quit my engineering job, believe it or not, to do this. And it was a hard decision, but I think it's going to be worth it on the long term.
Very good. Welcome.
Yeah, extra special welcome. I think you joined a great organization, so welcome.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Bing, and we are doing property management company for over 30 years. But since this year, we just starting the snow and grass maintenance for our clients. Yeah, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Andrew Westrick from Whispering Pines Landscaping. We service Orangeville, Fergus, and Guelph areas in the areas of landscape construction, lawn maintenance, gardening services, as well as snow.
Andrew Westrick.
It's a big trip, right?
Big trip. Andrew Westrick's one of my favorite people too. Just a shout out. No pressure or anything like that, but.
I'm Missy, and then I have Linda and Rob with me as well. We're TNT Your Salt Connection, depending on the day and season. So TNT does design build during the summer. Your Salt Connection sells all your winter supplies from salt to equipment for your trucks.
For your trucks.
For your trucks.
Excellent. So for you guys, can you tell us how long, Rob, how long you two been on the board?
Oh my.
No, I think it's important. You guys have been the foundation of this chapter.
Over 20 years on the board.
20 years. Okay. So, all right. On behalf of all the members, we appreciate what you guys have done because you guys have, I remember, I don't know how long I've been part of LO from the London chapter, but you guys have always been a staple here. And we really, tonight success has been all the hard work you guys have put in, all the attendance and stuff like that. So I just want to thank you guys for that.
I'm Darren. I'm from Mark Stone Landscaping. We do pools, hardscapes, snow in the winter, getting into maintenance in summer.
Okay.
I'm also a member of the board.
I'm Jason from Mace, and we do irrigation, landscape maintenance, and landscape construction, and snow in the winter. And we're in the Waterloo Kitchener area.
Hey, I'm Jamie from Earthscape. We do construction in KW, Guelph, Toronto, and we do high-end residential maintenance, kind of bit of everything, but no snow.
Hi, Jason from Current Kerr. We service any area from Paris all the way to Waterloo, Guelph. We're full landscape design, build, maintenance, snow removal in the wintertime. I brought along Nicole, our designer. This is her first meeting, so she wanted to see what we're all about.
Jason's becoming one of my new friends too.
Hi, my name's Ann Lees. I'm from Bellevue Landscapes. This is Brett and Adam. I also sit on the board. We specialize in high-end property maintenance, as well as softscaping and with a very sustainable driven mindset. And we do Kitchener, Cambridge, and some stuff in Waterloo.
Perfect. So we're gonna take the mic to the back because we have a bunch of people online to be introduced.
Okay, so online we have Carissa from Riverwood, Tanner from Riverwood, and Colin from Riverwood. They mow lawns and they plow snow. And I am Carrie, the Waterloo Chapter Landscape Ontario Events Coordinator. And today we also have our newest, second, almost newest addition, at least to our team here, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Hi everyone, I'm Shubham and I look after sponsorships for Landscape Ontario. So if anyone is interested, just meet me afterwards.
The Bobcat insurance guy over here, that's what the table you want over there.
Yeah.
The new sales girl, she'd love to see you. Sorry, just saying. That's what you're here for. Come on, let's be honest. Carrie, anyone else? Or is that it for online? Oh my goodness. Carrie, can we go back? Carrie, can you explain to us, we got an email from the board, or Trevor, do you want to talk about I guess just the excitement for how many people are going back to listen to the recording? I think that's good, something to share with the team. Because I think it's just.
Just wing.
At break? Okay, we'll talk about it. Again, the exciting part about it is this is a trial that we've never really done this before, Landscape Ontario. So having it live for people, but then live streaming it and then having people go back and listen to it, the recording of it. So we've had a lot of success that way. So which is really encouraging because again, we're trying to get information out to the members. And so trying something new, especially for our industry, is a bit of a touch and go type thing. We're not really good at change. But we're excited about the numbers that people are doing it. So Carrie can share that with us at break, I guess. I'll go back and do it. So yeah, hold on. Okay, so 63 people went and listened to the first recording, 29 on the second recording, and 84 on the third recording. So obviously the speaker's doing up, down, up. Then, right? So we'll see how the fourth session does. So again, so because we do that, if you have a question, Trevor has the mic, so we'll just kind of slow it down, but please use the mic for the question so that people online can hear the question, because if not, they're just going to hear my answer, which really sometimes it doesn't make any sense if you don't hear the question. So if you have a question, we'll do that. So, okay, let's get going into the content. We have a special guest tonight too that I'm going to introduce just a second, so you don't have to listen to me the whole time. But again, my name is Grant Harrison from Nextra Consulting. I have the pleasure of going through the CLP courses with you guys. And tonight we're talking about sales and marketing. But first, we want to talk about what's coming up. So February 7th, we're going to talk about corporate financial management. So we're going to take the month of January off. So a little plug for Congress at LO. So, we're looking forward to seeing all of you at Congress. So if you never been to Congress, you haven't been to Congress, Congress is amazing for you who knew the industry. So it's the second week of January, but it's an amazing show. You meet amazing people. It's an amazing trade show and stuff like that. And then for March, we're going to talk about leadership and corporate citizenship. And I'll let you know what that means when I do the research and figure it out. So, but yeah, so that's what we're going to do. Again, part of this whole concept that we're doing is, where did my other slide go? Sorry. Is typically a review from last time. So last time we talked about, what did I talk about last time? Strategic planning. Thank you very much. Thank you, Linda, for paying attention. Okay, so last time I talked, I left you with some homework. So 1 or 2 things that you were going to try to do this month. So this is for the people that were here last month. Pay attention. So any takeaways? Did anyone implement anything from the strategic planning that we do last month? 1 or 2 things that someone would be willing to share with the mic.
We laid out our first strategic plan and plan on having a meeting early January to share it with the team.
Share it with the team. Okay, perfect. Anyone else? I was kind of this table at the back. You guys are kind of.
I had so much fun. I bought the book Traction. And that was the most interesting first chapter I've ever read because I answered 0 to 0 to 0 to 0 on your SALT connection as to how much planning we've actually done on strategic planning. It was an eye opener on what should be done versus what I've never done.
Okay. And we had a great conversation after the meeting last time, right? About
Yes, we
strategic
did.
planning. So, which is good. So
We've gone ahead and planned, bit loud. Planned for some contracts to keep everyone from the winter busy this year, rather than hiring them all back in the fall.
okay, good. Anyone else? No, nothing else? Nothing from this side of the room? Not a thing? Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's get going. So tonight's sales and marketing, the one thing that we talked about last week, Martin had said we had talked about government grants and stuff that was going on. And he talked about a CDAP grant. There's some free money available to you. So I was like, I heard someone was talking about this grant program that's out there. And I remembered on my way home. So I'm going to introduce Scott from Intrigue Marketing. So what Scott specializes in is helping people walk through this whole program of getting this grant. So he's going to talk about how to do it, what's involved, what you can spend money on. So really what we're going to convince you is that there is funds available for you to spend money on stuff I'm going to teach you later on. Make sense? So, okay.
Yep. Fantastic. Thank you, Grant, and thanks for everyone for having me. As Grant said, my name is Scott Boudreau. I'm the CDAP advisor for Intrigue Media, which means I ultimately help you get $15,000 free government money. So I'm going to kind of walk through a bit of how the process works and how the program overall is set up. Intrigue Media, we are a digital marketing firm, so we work with some clients in the room. We specialize in working with home services companies, in particular landscape specifically. The majority of our clients are landscape. Next slide. So CDAP program, what the heck is CDAP? CDAP stands for the Canadian Digital Adoption Program. It's a program that's ultimately designed to help businesses like yours digitize anything across your business. The program itself is broken down into 3 key categories. The first being up to $15,000 grant. The second is up to $100,000 interest-free BDC loan. The third portion of the program is up to $7,300 per youth hired to help implement the digital adoption plan, which we'll talk about a bit more in a second. Next slide, please. So CDAP and Intrigue Media, we specialize in working with customer acquisition and customer engagement. So we help leverage the CDAP funds, the grant portion and the loan portion to help with marketing campaign planning, creation, execution. We help with online ads, creation, copy, management, realistically across any platform that you're using. We've helped our clients with new website enhancements, website maintenance. We've even helped some of our clients do e-commerce. So like being able to purchase a lawn care program, for example, directly on your website. And lastly, we've helped some clients implement or enhance their CRM. So how you qualify for the business, and they've kept the program pretty open. Your business has to be Canadian owned, 100% Canadian owned, which means you need to be considered a Canadian controlled private corporation. You have to be for profit, so no charities or anything like that. You need to have between 1 to 499 full-time employees. And you had to have at least $500,000 in annual revenue in one of the last 3 tax years, but not greater than $100 million. Next slide, please. Applying for the program is super easy in terms of working with the government. There's, if you've ever worked with government programs, it can be a bit difficult, but the first step is verifying your eligibility with the government. So the government's going to ask you some questions to basically verify those questions that I shared in the previous slide around your revenue, your full-time employees, and ensuring that the business is 100% Canadian owned. In order to apply for the grant, you have to be an owner or director or authorized by an owner or director to apply on behalf of the corporation. Once you've done that, you work with the digital advisor, which in our case is us. We help you build both the digital adoption plan as well as a marketing action plan. The digital adoption plan is a plan that's been outlined by the government with a series of requirements. We help you build it. On average, it's 15, 20-page document. You submit that to the government along with a $15,000 invoice from a registered advisor, which would be us. You then in turn get $15,000 back from the government. Last slide, please. So I just threw out a ton of information. Normally I would ask if people have heard of CDAP. It was mentioned already. Has anyone completed CDAP program in the room? No? Perfect. So essentially, if you're interested in getting $15,000 free government money to help with marketing services, please let me know. I'll work with the chapter and grant to make sure that you have my contact information. And I'll be sitting around for the rest of the night so that we can talk, and we'll do some questions here as well.
Adam? Yeah, you need a mic.
I've been reached out to by other marketing agencies. Obviously, they're trying themselves to get the grant money. But it seemed like the way they explained it was a little bit different. Maybe the criteria has changed. It's a comment, not a question. Is this funding, do you know how long this funding exists for? Like, when's the timeline? When does it end? Is this something that might continue into 2024, that if we've hit that revenue target, we can then apply for it?
Yes, so absolutely. So the program is open until March 2025, but they've allocated a pool of funds to this program, but we don't know how far through that pool of funds they are. So the program's been approved up till March 2025, but again, we don't know how many businesses have been through.
So when I have engaged with other marketing agencies they've basically cold called us, the criteria seemed a little bit different. So are you aware of it evolving up until 2025? Like the criteria might change. Originally, they were saying like some of the things we had to have was some sort of online portal for customers to make payments. If we didn't have that, then we weren't eligible. Like it seemed like every time I engaged with somebody, the criteria was a little bit different. So is the funding criteria changing? Have you seen it change? Will it change?
So the criteria has changed slightly. We don't know any additional information on what like more changes can come. But to your point, yes, the criteria has changed, but all the changes that they've been making are making it easier for businesses to get into the program because they had some kind of a bit of a slow start, but we're now a couple of years into the program and things are really picking up. So they've been trying to open it up to allow more businesses to do so, including that the revenue, business revenue used to be higher. So they've already reduced it. Any other questions?
Isn't this also like you have to come up with, like it's not 15,000, like you have to also come up with a certain amount as the business owner above that 15,000. Like it's not just like the government's giving you 15 grand and you can go do whatever. It's that you have to come up with a certain amount of portion above that, and then they give you back 15,000 to that extent, right?
Yep. So great question. It is technically up to 90% coverage. So the way that we do it is we charge $15,000 and then the HST on top of that brings you up. So ultimately all that's out of pocket for the businesses that are working with us is HST. Does that clarify? Anybody else? Anybody online? Great.
Any what would most people like, again, because you guys specialize in that, what would most people spend the money on? What are they spending it on?
So it's a great question. Most people are spending the money on website changes, website enhancements, and ad spend and ads in general.
Okay, so you can use it for ad spend then, like Google Words and all that type of stuff then?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Anyone else?
No?
Okay. Thank you all. I'll be around. Hopefully you can have some additional conversations this evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Scott. I appreciate it. You're gonna hang around? Okay, so if you have questions afterwards of the break or go see Scott afterwards, what I will do is we'll put Scott's information on the website as well. So if you have more questions about it, or if you're interested in what Intrigue can do for you, that's obvious, that's really important as well. But yeah, just kind of want to make sure that you're aware of that type of funding is available for you. Especially because everyone's talking about a economic slowdown. You know, it's going to be harder to get work this year. We have to actually sell work, not just we're not just great order takers anymore. So I think it's a good opportunity for us to kind of invest in that. And I think it's a little bit of a kickstart too, right? That's, I think, what the government's trying to do with it, is trying to kickstart some money into that part of it. So keep it going. So, okay. Thank you. So marketing and sales management. So of all the courses, when we look at this one, this is probably the weakest one that I know as well, kind of like I'm natural at. So I learned quite a bit in the book this month. So I'm really excited to just take some time away. I'm really looking for some feedback to help me out as a speaker tonight, but there was just a lot of really good information around sales and marketing. So Scott, if you see something too, as a sales and marketing guy, come on, help me out here. So yeah. Okay, so the learning objectives tonight, again, through the book, the CLP course that we're teaching, what we're going to talk about is advertising and promotional programs. We're going to talk about practices to enhance your company's image. We're going to talk about public relations strategy, some pricing policies, customer service standards. I want to talk a little bit about managing your customer sales process and understanding good estimate practices. Again, not necessarily the way I would talk about this stuff, but again, the book kind of goes through that process through this way. So that's kind of what what we're going to talk about tonight. But first, we're going to talk about marketing. So again, when I hear marketing, I'm like, marketing can be a lot of things. So this was the best definition I think I've seen, because I didn't go to marketing school. But marketing is all activities that a business carries out to do the following. It identifies your target market. It's preparing promotional material. It's communicating that material. And it's just distributing the product or service in that process. Does that make sense? I thought it was a pretty good explanation as far as what it is. So would you agree with that? Yeah? Is what marketing is? High level stuff as good as marketing? Yeah? So I did a pretty good job? Yeah? Okay, good. Okay, so that's kind of what marketing is. Creating a marketing plan. So like, as far as our business goes, you're always looking at like, what do I have to do? If I'm going to spend money on something, where am I going to spend that money? And I always feel like, let's say I want to do the CDAP, for instance, I want to spend that $15,000. A lot of the hesitation I have is like, where am I going to spend that money? What's the ROI? If I buy a piece of equipment, I know I can pretty much sit there and say, I'm going to spend 15 grand on a small piece of equipment. I know where I'm going to get my money back. With marketing and sales, it's kind of a little bit of a gray area, because this isn't something naturally we do as, landscape technicians. It's not something we've really mastered. So it's really interesting to take a look at it. So doing a marketing plan really needs to communicate to potential customers the benefit they receive from the service, instead of focusing on the service itself. And why I put this quote in is because I think as an industry, we are really, really good at talking about the service itself. Okay? Like if we talk to most of us, we're like, what do? We plow snow, cut grass, do lawns, we put beautiful backyards together. Not very many of us, when I talk to landscape contractors, can talk about the receiving the benefits of that service, right? Because again, most of us are great technicians. So what is it? So we have to think about this differently. We're not just grass cutters. We're not just plowing snow. We're not just cutting grass, but we have to focus on the service itself. What are we doing differently, right? We're going to talk a little bit about that, but it's really, really important to differentiate that we're not just doing this thing, but we're offering it. We are this type of company that just happens to cut grass, plow snow, and put beautiful backyards in people's houses. Make sense? Yeah? Okay. Okay. As part of this marketing plan, you have to do, in the book, they talk about having a competitive advantage. Okay. So again, try to sit there and say, okay, we're not just a snowplow company and all that type of stuff, but what is our competitive advantage that we have within our current market? So in the book, they talk about 3 competitive advantages: cost advantage, avoiding, so it says avoid unless you're really good at one thing that you do over and over again. The second one is the marketing advantage. So created by the ability of the firm to differentiate its product or service from the competitor or the market niches. So the more focused, the more profitable we become. Too many times, cost advantage is, I would say, what we default to as an industry, right? We sit across from someone for a backyard, or we're sitting across from someone, bidding a snow contract, and it usually comes down to price. That when we do that for the price, it's typically not very profitable, right? So sometimes we have to, like if it's a closed bid or something like that, cost is a lot of the times. But I think for most of us, a lot of the work that we have doesn't have to be cost advantage, but we default to cost advantage when we're talking to a client. We're like, here's what we're talking about, here's the price. And we're hoping that the customer is like, I hope that price is kind of what they want to see. I have done this in the past. I think most people have, is that I'll do a whole quote up and I'll look at the price and I'll be like, ooh, that's way too expensive. I would never pay for that. So I go through the quote and I start knocking off $1,000 here, $2,000 here. All of a sudden I'm like $10,000 off the price before I've even presented to the client, and the client hasn't even said anything to me, but I've already given them a discount, right? Because in my head, I'm like, I wouldn't pay that for that. So obviously the client wouldn't pay that. But I'm thinking in my head, the only way I'm going to sell this job is through cost, right? I haven't taken the time to sell them on all the other things that our company does. So again, we default to that, and probably as an industry, we're defaulted by that because a lot of times we talk about that. It's just natural, comes up in conversation, right? We lose a contract. What do we lose the contract to? We think we lose it to price. We don't know that, but that's always what we come to, right? We lost it to price. So we automatically started thinking about cost advantages all the time. The marketing advantage, I think, is again, so it goes from don't do this to do even better, right? So the marketing advantage is creating the ability of the firm to differentiate its product or service from the competitor. That's what we want to do. Here's the cost. Cost is still a reality, but what is it you're going to get for that cost? What are we going to do differently for that, say, $10,000 more than what the other contractor that they're getting prices for are going to do? And you need to explain that. A lot of times we don't even have the opportunity to explain that. So like sitting down with a client and saying, listen, before I just send this quote over to you, can I meet with you, right? Because if I'm just going to send this over by email or however, fill out a document and do it, I don't get the advantage to talk about our marketing or our market niches. They don't get to talk about what makes us different, why you should pay that, maybe you should pay the extra little bit of money. And then the next one is market niches. The more focused we are, the more profitable. We talked about this a couple months ago. To me right now, the more focused we are as a business, the more profitable we become, the easier streamlined you are. Gone are the days of us doing just everything. If you're a company, so the young gentleman in the back, you're going to have to do a lot of yeses for right now because it's just, you need the work, right? But as you grow, as you mature, like 5-10 years down the road, you need to start focusing on the services you provide or the area that you provide, or specifically do something. And we're going to talk about what those are, but you need to have the advantage of there. So, okay. So I'd like to hear from you. So can you tell me from some of your companies, because I know some of your companies, can someone tell me, give me some examples of market advantage that they leverage when they're talking to clients? And while we think about that, the mic, who would be willing to share some marketing? I know some of you do, so some differentiations that you guys have that you talk to clients with. Adam, you have one. You have an amazing one.
I don't know if it's a marketing advantage.
I think it is. You had already said it when even your introduction. What does Bellevue stand for?
Well, we're sustainably focused. We find that sometimes we don't need to have discussions about sustainability, though. We can make sustainable decisions on the back end through the right selection of plants, the whatever soil health, whatever it is. But we have been sought out because we've now identified ourselves as a sustainable company, a company that's focused on horticulture, plant care. So I guess, yeah, okay, so a marketing advantage for us is when we talk about what we do, we are very plant first company.
Focused, yeah.
Yeah, it's the right plant in the right place. If, you know, they've got plants that are overgrown, it's like, okay, well, we have the skills to be able to rejuvenate that plant so you don't have to remove it and replace it. We can take care of that, and you'll notice in 2 years' time, you'll have beautiful blooms again. So our marketing advantage is we discuss with customers that we are horticulturally based, holistically based, and sustainably based.
Okay, that's good. That's a perfect example. That's what I'm looking for. So if I'm competing against Adam, I've known Adam for a long time. So Adam has a passion for that. I am never going to have that as my competitive advantage. I would go to the customer and say, if that thing's overgrown, I have an excavator that'll rip it out and I can plant 3 new things for you. Okay, good. But Adam's passionate about that, right? And you guys are getting more and more clients. You're building momentum for people that are looking for that. Right. So that's a perfect one. So thank you very much for that. So who else has a marketing advantage that they can talk about? Yep. Sorry, I got to run to the back. Someone online has one.
Colin from Riverwood talks about communication, having really good communication as part of his marketing.
Okay. It's hard to follow up with Colin when he's online, but actually, Carrie will keep you. Riverwood. You want to speak? Can you speak to? Yeah. Okay. So
Colin is definitely the better person to explain, as he has a better way with words than I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are a lot focused on communication, and critical honesty. When it comes to snow removal, as we all know, it's, you know, things happen. Sometimes mistakes are made, stuff like that. And we just try and operate on a basis of being extremely transparent about what's going on, how we're planning to address things. So things like that, right?
Okay. Practically, what does that look like for Riverwood?
Dealing with like property managers, things like that. A lot of them are not at the sites. They don't know what's going on. Sometimes they'll get a complaint from like a homeowner or a tenant. They need to know what's going on. They want like frequent updates. They want to know exactly what we know. Right. So if we try and provide that to them as much as we can, it tends to give them a better experience.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, and snow removal, I think the one competitive advantage you can have is communication, right? Because again, most contractors are not very good at communicating, right? We have a bad reputation as an industry for that. So,
yeah. Because we switched process of switching our business around the last number of years. And we mainly do hardscape and softscaping in new homes around residential property. We market green infrastructure for homeowners.
Okay.
Flooding, drainage, putting the right plants in, i.e. native. Working with what we have, like, because Kitchener-Waterloo is a lot of clay. You don't put the right plants in, they ain't living.
Okay.
So more back to what we did 100 years ago in landscaping.
And what triggered that change in focus?
A lot to do with sitting on a lot of different committees, realistically.
Okay.
Linda sat on the Stormwater Committee when it was being developed in Kitchener and Waterloo. I sat on a different committee afterwards for that. So we started marketing to our clients the benefits of green infrastructure around their house, permeable paving, rain gardens, bioswales, the right trees in the right spot.
Okay.
You know, because I go into a lot of homes and do a consult, and they want to put a tree on the wrong side of the property where it doesn't benefit them.
Yeah.
If it's the neighbor,
Mhm.
you know, which is fine. You want to, you know, but you should be planting the tree on the other side of your property to benefit for cooling.
Yeah.
You know, all those windbreaks and stuff. Looking at a property a lot differently and presenting to the client that they understand what's going on.
Yeah. Okay. I think the other one, is there someone online? And I'll give mine.
Okay, so we have Ali from Park Lane Nurseries. She said, we provide a service that the client can enjoy while making a positive impact to the environment and future generations. We also educate through each process as to how they are making a difference and how certain elements can also help underlying issues protecting the client's investment.
Okay, that was a good one. That was sounded like that was written by a marketing firm. That was very well done. I think the other one that we do, I think we do naturally, but we don't leverage enough for most of us is a marketing advantage that we can do is that we're really good problem solvers as an industry. Okay, so like someone will come to us and be like, I have this problem. You know, it could be drain, and that's what I thought about. It could be drainage issue, it could be whatever it is. And we are really good at solving people's problems and giving them solutions for what their problem is. They might not even know what that problem is, but if we can set ourselves up as an expert, if you can go into the meeting and be like, not talk about the services we provide, but as far as like, I'm here to educate you on why you shouldn't put that tree on the other side of the corner because it's not going to benefit everyone, or don't put a tree in the middle of a swale because it's going to drown. Right. So all those things, if you can, again, that's a marketing advantage we have, because I think as an industry, we do have our weaknesses, but this is one thing that most of us, when you walk on a property, do offer solutions for, that we can say, like, don't put a snow pile there because it's all going to run off in the spring and it's going to run off to the front door and it's going to freeze. Right. That's kind of natural thing for us. And we think other people are, are dumb when you think about putting a snow pile there. I think the other big thing with that is, especially with property managers right now, or people that are looking after properties, they have no idea what they're talking about, right? There's a lot of young property managers right now that are just like overwhelmed. They're learning HVAC, they're learning how to the whole building envelope. If you can come along and be a resource for those people, they will spend money with you, right? Because they trust you, they know your knowledge, and they want to hire you for that. Those people are not looking at price necessarily. If they can get away with, they're going to want to push you to be able to do that, so you can offer more advantage than just cost. And the second one, sorry, anyone else want to talk about a marketing advantage you guys have? Insurance? What's your insurance marketing advantage?
I guess with it's a lot to do with obviously price, like you said. So you talk about the price, but to get around the whole price thing, because that's obviously a major thing, you just talk about things outside of just just prices, coverages, the different coverages that, and then obviously market. Having working for a larger company, you have access to larger markets that if you place a lot of business with those markets, you have that, you have that in with that market. So you might be able to get the pricing lower, coverages better, deductible options that are better. Yeah. And lots of like, obviously digital marketing. That's a lot different than some of the smaller insurance markets we deal with.
Okay, good. So at the back, yep. I'm going to get my steps in tonight. I'm glad I wore my smartwatch.
I'll share our marketing that we did for snow now that we're not doing snow. So it made us different than pretty much, 90% of everyone else here that kept our contracts for 25 to 28 years nonstop with raises in between, was that we offered time service and time service only. So we marketed, we will bring in the right equipment to do the job, and we will give you a time slot. So if you wanted to be done by 4 o'clock in the morning, we guaranteed you would be done by 4 o'clock in the morning. And the same thing on and on and on for all of our clients. So we were completely different than everyone else in town because we said, this is your time slot. We will be done by this time. We got out of the residential, like apartment buildings and that, because it was open by 7 coming back. We kept one for 28 years because we opened them before 7 and we returned between 9 and 11, get all your cars out, and we scraped the entire lot.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was tickled pink. They paid me extra. They paid me to salt 3 times a day above and beyond the contract price.
Yeah.
Because they loved the service.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that made us completely different from everyone else. And then we gave them a map that they could understand. I didn't do a Google map shot. I actually drew what they could understand and color coded it.
Okay.
So it was a hand-drawn thing.
That's awesome. Okay, good. The market niche is next. So you can start thinking about if you have a unique market niche that you have. I think again, we talked about this a couple of months ago about it, but I think this is the low-hanging fruit for us as an industry, is that And again, I know most of your businesses here in the room, and I think most of them could double down on a niche. Just kind of like you guys double down on your snow niche, right? Like we want people that want this type of service, and they'll pay extra for that type of service, right? Not everyone was that client, because not everyone cares about a time slot, but the people that do care for a time slot will pay for that type of service. So I think there's lots, and I think there's more and more every year in our industry, there's more and more people doubling down on niche. So for this is weird because it's recorded. So I give examples of people. So anyone know Nick Snowfall or Nick Snow Removal in Stratford? So like Nick, if you've never seen what he does, he's just a residential snow removal contractor, residential only, and he just does driveways. So he's got like, you can buy like 2 or 3 different packages with him. They run one type of tractor, one inverted blower, but that guy can do hundreds of driveways, like unbelievable amount of driveways. But when you talk to Nick, he's a marketing guy. Like he's amazing. Like, but he just says, this is who we are. Not everyone's going to buy this service, but we think this service that we're providing is good. He can lower the price of the service because he can do it so well and so efficient that he can actually make really good money at it. Better, like people look at it and go, when you're niche down like that, people look and say, that person can't make any money at that because I do that service and I can't do it that cheap. But if you double down and you do it so efficiently, you can actually lower your price, right? So I always like that as an example to be able to do that. But he doesn't do condos. All he does is residential driveways. And when you drive down a road, like I live in London and he has sections of London that you just drive down the road, it's his flags, like every second or third driveway. It's amazing. It's a great marketing. It's a great marketing tool as well. So Ottawa is really good. I think Capital Snow in Ottawa does that as well. There's like maybe 3 snow companies in Ottawa, and I think they have a bit of monopoly. They don't have a monopoly. They have a really good program in Ottawa too for that. So again, when you double down on that type of thing, you can actually make really good money. And again, like I said, it makes it easier for buying equipment, makes it easier for staff, hiring and training staff members, and then you can just focus on that. So any marketing niches that you guys have that you think you guys are, hey, we do this well, better than everyone else, and we can actually do it cheaper? No? Carrie, anyone online? No? Would anyone want to double down on a niche and be like, hey, I think we could do this? No? Adam, would you double down on a niche?
Check. Talking about sustainability, like we're fiercely sustainable, but we know a lot of customers don't care to talk about it. I mentioned that we can make sustainable choices on the back end without even having that discussion. But if we were to double down, it would be in that area.
In that area.
Okay. Yeah. Sustainable landscape solutions.
Okay. Perfect. I'm going to take that because I'll forget. The other one I think we don't do very well, and this can be a market niche. Again, I think we travel too far for work, especially on maintenance. If you look at your maintenance crew and how far you have to route crews, if just by kilometers, I think we need to do a better job to own like an industrial park or own a neighborhood or own a section of town. Too many contractors are driving all over the city. When I hear people like, we do this city, this city, this city, this city, all from one location, I'm like, you can't make really good money doing that, because all the travel time kills you, right? Either you have to pass that cost on to the client or it comes out of your profit. Where if all you did is your one truck stays in this one area for a full day, that's how you can get that's how you niche. So the market could be just geographical as well. Okay, so think about competitive advantage. What do you have? And this is the ability, this is the great time of doing this session this time of year, because most of us are going into the Christmas break, into January going, what do we want our green season to look like, right? What do we want to be known for in the market? So market research. So if you decide, hey, I have this great idea that I want to become sustainable, or I want to, double down on residential driveways for snow, there's some stuff you need to do in order to do that. So not just jump in and then realize that maybe there's not even a market for it. So the book talks about primary and secondary data that you can collect that can help you make that decision. So again, it's good that you think about it, but you need to make an educated decision-making process. So in the book, it talks about secondary data comes from trades associations. So for us as landscape members, you can do SIMA, you can Landscape Ontario, you can do CNLA. There's so much research and so much resources out there right now that even I don't know. Like CNLA, I had a great conversation with one of the board members at CNLA a couple weeks ago to Calgary, and the stuff they're doing for our landscape association is incredible. Stuff I didn't even know that existed that they're working on. So again, there's so much stuff that's going on. Your members, people always ask me, well, what is my LO membership going towards? And I'm like, it's going towards tons of things. You might not know what it's all going towards, but they're spending your money wisely, and there's lots of information. So don't feel like you don't, like, there's people out there that want to help you. The great thing about tonight is that you're going to meet someone. You're sitting at a table that someone you don't know, just ask them, right? There's lots of competitors in this room that are willing to share things that they've learned. That's the one amazing thing I love about this industry, is that people are willing to share. You know, there's a lot of times when I would go to a chapter meeting, and it was always the best time was the beer after the meeting, right? Because you get to sit down with someone, and someone I mentored. You know, one person I always looked up to was Jay Murray at TLC. I was part of the London chapter, and honestly, he would just be like, we would go to a chapter meeting, and Jay would be like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, come for a beer. And I would just share some stuff with him. He's like, Grant, I've made that mistake 10 times. Don't do that. Right. And I'm like, oh, okay. Thank you, Jay, for sharing that. You know, our industry is amazing for that. And that's why we have to be so proud to be part of this industry. My brother-in-law, he's a home builder. Nothing. Like, there's nothing out there. Like, people look at our trade. If you grew up in this industry, you think this is the best. Like, this is what's normal for industry trades. And it's not. A couple of years ago, I got to get a chance to travel around to other landscape associations. And I always thought Landscape Ontario was the normal size of what an association looks like. I spoke in Michigan a couple of weeks ago, and the Michigan Landscape Association, as far as contractors go, is about the same size as Landscape Ontario. They have 3 full-time people that they do. Carrie, how many LO team members would be now? Just a guess. I'm not going to hold you to it. Over 50. Okay. So same geographical area. They are trying to offer services, but they all look at Landscape Ontario as the gold standard by which we have stuff. So again, holding these nights, Congress, the professional development sessions that are going on, there's tons of opportunities to collect secondary data. Government statistics are really good. You can actually go on any government website, like there's Statistics Canada. Like, if you're looking at saying like, okay, I want to concentrate on this type of household, and I need to know how many of these households in this area with this type of revenue, like household income or people that live in the house. There's all kinds of that type of stuff. Local Chamber of Commerce is good. I wouldn't even thought of local Chamber of Commerce, but again, that organization is set up to help businesses grow within their area. So their whole goal is to help you. You just got to go and ask and say, I am looking at doing this. What resources do you have? What can you help me with to be able to do that? The primary data that they talk about is observing or non-reactive. So driving around. So like for myself, so let's say I wanted to get into residential driveways. Well, probably the best way to do it is go through a neighborhood during a snowstorm and figure out, is there any contractors running through the neighborhood doing driveways? Like, if you sit there, grab a coffee, if you sit there on the corner and you see 20 plow trucks going back and forth through the residential driveway, you can pretty much say this is kind of probably not a market I really need to get into. There's probably a lot of people in the market. But if you go in that driveway, if you go in that residential area, there's no one driving around for 20 minutes, half hour. You're like, oh, okay, there might be an untapped market here. So take some time to just look at that and see if you can do it. Surveys are really good, interview questionnaires. Also, I think the other thing that's really good is, for most of us, we have existing businesses. So like, if you're going to want to pivot within your current business, maybe ask your current clients if they would buy a new service, right? I had a conversation with a contractor today, and the one thing they said was they had a couple of their clients say, if you offered this service, we would love to buy that service from you, but it involved quite a bit of capital. So he's like, oh, okay. So he thought, well, a couple of people have come to me. He talked to a couple other people. He's like, if he had 5 or 6 people, like, I would buy this service for you. So he's like, this gives me a really good indication. I think I want to do it. Purchase all the capital, did all that type of stuff. The 5 people that talked to him about it, when he came back to say, hey, I bought this equipment, all 5 of them said, well, that's a bit expensive. I don't want to buy it. So instead of taking the time to be like, hey, you're interested, would you pay this for this service? He didn't take that extra step. And then now he's stuck with this. Now he's got to really work hard to get that equipment running. So just take time. Most people want to help you. If you ask people and say, hey, can you help me with this? I'm thinking about this for my business. Would you buy this service? Most people are going to want to will be honest with you. So any other examples of that? Thanks. That you would collect? Where else would you collect data? If you want to make a decision about pivoting your business or starting a business or starting another division that I didn't talk about. Sorry, anything else? Yeah. I mean, Carrie, anything else online? No? Okay. Again, don't be afraid to take the time to do this. And like I said, I learned a lot because I would probably be one of those people that are like, well, a couple of people told me I trust my gut. Let's go ahead and do it. And I would probably pull the trigger earlier than I should. Example of, I took this out of the book because I thought this was really good. Again, if you're trying to make these decisions, they talk about this competitive matrix. So taking a couple businesses that are in your area that you might be competing in and just then saying, okay, taking a look and say, okay, percent of their staff are trained. Are they financially solid? That's a bit of a one that you're going to have a hard time talking or like figuring out. Is the reputation for quality there? Is the reputation for service there? And is it price versus quality? Right. So you can kind of see, like, if you're comparing yourself to like, hey, I think I'm going to compete against ABC Landscaping. You're like, okay, well, that doesn't take much. I don't have to raise the bar very much to compete against ABC Landscaping. Right. So you want to start working towards this side of the chart to be like, okay, here's my actual competitor I'm working for. Right. That's the one I either want to emulate or I want to actually look at and to sit there and say, this is what I want to be. This is who we want to be as a company. This is the type of service we want to offer. Right. So if all this greenscape, if most of their staff are trained, like you go to a LO event and you see their staff all the time, you're like, okay, they're investing in their staff. We're not just competing for customers, but really the last couple of years, we're competing more for staff than we are customers. Right. So if you're investing, we talked about this again a couple months ago, are we training our staff? Are we investing in them? Right. So it all kind of comes together. So you're marketing your business to incorporate all these things. Right. If you're going to go after ABC Landscaping and they have a reputation of paying their bill, not paying their bills, and you're pricing on the same matrix as they are, probably something you need to be aware of. Right. Don't go after that type of work. Because if they're not making any money at it, there's probably a good chance that there's something wrong in that process. Why you're not going to make any. There's a high percent that you're not making any money either. I think for all of us, if you're sitting in the room, I think you're offering. Someone say something? No? Okay. I must have heard something. I'm having a stroke. Yep. Here.
Don't be afraid to put your prices at way more than somebody else did it for. We took Toronto Premium Outlets on this year, and our price was almost triple last year's price, and they gave it to us on service.
Okay. Yeah, and that's a tough one, right? Because we hear those stories over and over again about, especially on snow and maintenance contracts, about, like I said earlier, like I lost it on price. And a lot of times we don't even know if we lost it on price, right? So it is good. People will pay for good quality service. Now you got to fulfill on that service as well. So you guys have a high standard, right? Because now you have to perform on what you've sold, right? Because they have paid a premium for a premium service now to be able to do that. So good luck on that one. Appreciate that. Let's meet back here in March and see how you guys did. Yeah. Okay. Has anyone ever seen this before? The Matrix? No? Okay. I had never seen it before too. I thought it was really good. So, okay. The 4 P's of marketing. So product, price, place, and promotion. So again, we're talking about, again, there's some of this stuff starting to repeat itself or build on it. But again, what are we going to do? You have to have a price, obviously. You have to have a price, you have to have a product, obviously. So what product are we talking about? You have to have a price to go with that product. You have to have some sort of place to buy that product or to sell that product. And you have to have some sort of promotional way to promote that product, please. So again, it's just kind of, it's really basic, but it's really, really important that we think about these things. So product. So again, what's our product? What are we selling? This isn't a trick question, but what are we selling?
Lawns.
No, we're not. We're selling time, yeah, but we're not selling. Sorry, ready to meet. No, we're not selling. Yeah, we're not selling mowing lawns, right? That's what we default to, right? Is we sell service. We're selling these specific type of service, and I don't think that's the product that we're selling, right? And again, I would say that as well. Right away, I'd be like, we're selling this product, right? Like I sell coaching. I don't sell coaching. I sell, having a lifestyle that business owners want, a business that owners want and dream about. It just happens we do coaching to get people to that point. But when people say, what do? I do coaching, right? But that's not actually what we do, right? That's not our goal, right? So the product is not the snow plowing. It's not the thing we have in our truck. It's not what we put in people's backyard. It's the other things that we're offering clients. So Darren, what did you offer? So the Toronto Premium Outlets, what did you offer as a product then? Why did they pay 3 times as much for the plowing service?
Their sidewalks are 100% liquid this year. Nobody could keep them clean last year, so I've got 6,000 gallons of product there to keep them clean.
Okay, so what is the product that you offered them? You didn't offer liquids to them. What did you offer?
High level of service.
You offered a quality product,
Quality
right?
product.
Like you told them, listen, we won't let happen like it did last year. We'll make sure that there's no snow on those areas. And here's how we're doing it. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's not just the product wasn't cleaning sidewalks or spraying brine. It was the end result of what that product is. Yeah.
Correct. Liquid application.
Again, that's the service by which we get the product. Right. So, okay. Other products that we're offering. Okay. Kerr, what products do you guys offer? This is a test.
Just really, we offer brine as a product, like to get us a little bit ahead of everyone else, we'd like to think, and yeah.
Okay.
And we've had the hospital for 20 years, and that seems to be a big selling point for us, really.
Okay. So has brine allowed you to have a competitive advantage at the hospital or to keep it ahead of everyone?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I'd like to think so.
Okay. Okay. But it's not the brine, right?
No.
It's the product. It's the outcome of that, right?
Everyone sees.
Yes. Right. So I was down in Belleville the other day, and one of our clients does brine, and they said to us, they're like, the product they're offering is that when you drive down the road, they had a freezing rain event, so like their properties were wet, and the next door neighbors was like glare ice, right? So that's what you're offering to the client.
Yeah, just a better product at the end of the night, right? The hospital's clean, lot beside it's not.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. Earthscape, sorry, I forget your name. Jamie, you guys offer a great product. What is it that you guys offer?
Service, customer
Service?
response times, being there kind of whenever they need us.
Yeah. And you just happen to build beautiful landscapes.
Based on that, yeah.
Right? Based on that.
People like high-end customers care for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So, okay. Andrew, Whispering Pines, you guys offer great products.
Yeah, I guess to use your line, it's peace of mind. So if they want to have a quality landscape, we're going to provide them the peace of mind that everything's going to be taken care of from front to end, whether it's the sale of it or the execution of the job.
Yeah. So that's peace of mind for when it doesn't matter if we're plowing snow, cutting your grass, doing a landscape, it's the same end product, right? That we're going to give you. So, okay. Trevor, what would be your product you guys offer to clients?
Yeah, solving their problems, right? I think that's one of the things we do. It's not selling a product. It's listening, finding out why they want that new backyard, family get-togethers, having the space to enjoy outdoor living. That's our tagline. So it's creating that space and solving the problem that they have when they call us in the first place.
Okay, good. Yep, that's awesome. Good. Okay, next one, price. So price is obviously very important. If we don't price it properly, we're not going to make any money, which talk about sustainability, which means that, you know, we can't pay our bills, we can't pay our staff, you know, we can't buy new equipment, we can't reinvesting. So price is very, very important. In the whole idea, you cannot get away for very rarely. I don't know anyone, you can raise your hand on this one. Has anyone ever won a project without giving a price? That they were just like, do what you want, blank check. No, doesn't happen, right? So I don't care what type of, you did? Oh, come on, really? Okay, what service did you provide? Okay, you got, this is gonna be a good story. I may have egg in my face at the end of this one, but Linda, what did you sell?
Do I get the mic?
I don't.
So, we had a client in Kitchener that we just did stairs and a front walkway for many, many moons ago. And then she sold that house and bought a house in Cambridge and met a guy. And she said, this is our landscaper.
Yeah.
Don't have a choice.
Okay.
So I think they bought the house for, at that time, maybe 130,000.
Okay.
They spent close to 200,000 on their outdoor.
Okay.
And they said, what do you want to do this year? And how much you want to spend?
Yeah.
And Rob could do whatever he wanted, year 1, 2, 3, 4. We went to 6 years.
Yeah. Wow, that was a lot of trust. That was amazing.
Huge. We started with just a front entrance
Yeah.
and a walkway, and she introduced us. You don't have a choice. This
Yeah,
is my
okay.
landscaper.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So we've had about 4 clients that have done that to us.
Okay, that's awesome.
Whatever
Congratulations.
you want to do,
Yeah.
just what's your vision?
Yeah.
And because they trust him, because he's done, that happened in just down the road here too. Yeah, because we did a house in Waterloo, and then she divorced and came with somebody else, and she introduced again this landscaper. And
You have an ideal client, apparently.
we have that niche
Yeah.
market.
Okay.
And then they refer to somebody else. This is our landscape.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll do this for you.
Yeah.
So with that second client, we ended up doing a 2nd-story deck, a pond in their backyard, but specifically they had to have a piece of rock that went over the pond so they could sit and dangle their feet in it.
Mhm.
A cistern for the irrigation system, fencing, custom everything.
Yeah, okay.
It was
Interesting.
an awesome
Good.
job, but it was a brand new house and blank canvas. There you go.
Okay.
And it took us a couple of years to finish it all.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay. So again, so for those of you who do not have those type of ideal clients or they're lining up to spend with you, price is still important. It doesn't really matter. Most of us still need a price. You're still giving a price. I would never buy anything without knowing the price. Most of us wouldn't. So the price needs to be competitive. It's what the market will bear, but it also needs to be profitable. If you can't put a price in that's not profitable, don't put a price in. Okay. So again, we're gonna next month or February, we're gonna talk about how to come up with that price. But it's really important that price is there. Place, not as important. I guess place is, like, we go back to like where you're located. Again, the narrower you are, the less kilometers you have to travel, the better service you're going to provide, at least for our industry, unless you have something unique to where that you can travel farther. But to me, the closer you are, like your cutting crews, your snow plow routes, again, closer they are, the better. So if you can keep focused more on a place, that would be great. We don't do that enough. I ask clients all the time, why are you working 3 different cities when there's so much asphalt all the way around, right? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, double down on a certain area and just start knocking. The best thing you can do is if you have one property here, you want the 2 on either side and the 3 across the road. You got to double down and get those 5 other properties, because those are you can actually do those properties cheaper than the other guy who has to travel in. but you're doing the exact same thing that guy is, right? So that guy or girl. So it's really good. And then the other one is promotion. So how do you get that? So we talked, you guys have a promotion. Your word of mouth is your promotion, right? So, and most of us do survive off promotion, right? Most of us do survive off of word of mouth. That's most of us who have built a business up. That comes from people telling us, hey, I have a landscaper. They don't maybe give me a blank check, but I have a landscaper, or I have this guy that does it. The property managers are amazing right now. Like if you don't leverage property managers, I think property managers are great. Again, they don't necessarily know what's going on. So if you can say yourself as the expert and you can help them with their job, they have tons of access to more properties that you can give. And they also have access to more property managers that are looking for good contractors, right? So you can actually get promoted by doing that way. So yeah, so again, word of mouth is it's cheap. You don't have to spend any money on it. Not that we don't want to spend money on digital marketing and stuff like that, but that by far is the best way to get that type of stuff. So in the book, it talks about reasons people buy. And my wife, if you've never met my wife, Marla, she's amazing. Hello, Marla. She's an amazing wife, and she helps me put these slides together. And we got to this, there was this list here in the book, and we were going through it, and I realized, like, I'm on one side of this, almost 80% of the reasons I'm on one side, and she's on the other side of the list. Can you guess what side I'm on versus what side she would be on? She is totally rational. No, she's not. I'm the rational one. So like, I looked at this list and I'm like, honestly, there's not a lot. I buy stuff for appearance, but not that much. Like, she's the one being like, you need to buy a new set of jeans. I'm like, I'm just breaking in these jeans. Like, so the rational reasons, I am totally rational. Like, it's amazing. Like, you could read this, and I think a lot of, not necessarily male, female, but I typically buy this for economic purchases. What the use of it is going to be, very rational. Is it a tool required to complete the job? Anytime we do some sort of home improvement, my wife will be like, hey, I have a task for you, I can do this. The first thing I think of is, this gives me a reason to go buy a tool, right? Because I'm like, oh, if I'm going to do this for you, I need this tool to do it, right? I didn't even know I was doing it, but I'm rationalizing the reason why I need to get that task done. It doesn't increase profits for me. I think like this all the time. I'm not going to buy it if it can't increase profit. I'm probably not going to buy it. It's got to have a purpose to it. Is it simple operation? Does it simplify it? Is there accurate performance? Does it save labor? Like, most of us are buying. So if your equipment, so Bobcat, I'm sure you guys are like, that's your sales pitch, right? Look how much time and labor it's going to save you, right? Because there's so much of equipment is based on that, right? So it's there. Is it time savings? Does it save space? Is it durable? Is it easy of repair? So that is majority of me. Who in the room typically are rational reasoners that you buy based on that? Adam, thanks for your honesty. No one else? We got a support network. Andrew, good. Couple of people at the back. Really? Okay, we're pretty close. Okay, so for those of the rest of you in the room, you guys are emotional buyers. So you buy based on pride of appearance, right? You buy pride of ownership. Desire for status, prestige, or the trend. You desire to be intimate. You do it for safety. You do it for fear. You desire for control, desire for security. You buy it for the convenience. You buy it for the desire to be unique, and you buy it for curiosity. I think for us, if you're selling landscape designs, majority of the landscape designs or landscaping is on this side, right? So people are buying a backyard for majority of these reasons. So they're buying emotionally. So the reason we say this and why they talk about it in the book is so important is that if you're sitting across from a buyer, you need to know what type of words you use. So if you come to sell me something and you start talking about pride of appearance, pride of ownership, status, prestige, and trend, I'm not the person. I'm going to be like, I don't need your product. Because I don't necessarily care about that, but I do care about, is it simple to operate? How does it perform? And is it going to save me time and energy? Right? So if someone wants to sell me a backyard and my wife and me are sitting at the table, that salesperson, so if any of you are in sales or presenting drawings, you need to figure out which person are you talking to? And more than likely, I've sat across from enough couples, you have to talk to both of these things. So you need to talk about pride and desire and safety, but you also have to talk about the efficiency and all that type of stuff that goes in it. Yep. Adam?
Do you think though that you can relate emotional language to rational language? Like if something's simple to operate, the person might be frustrated that the thing they have is not simple. It's complicated. So frustration would be.
So what's the emotion on what's the emotional reason?
Frustration.
Frustration, okay. And then the rational one, it's simple to operate.
Simple operation.
Yeah, so I think you're using both.
Yes, that's what I'm asking.
Right? Yeah, so I think you have to do
Relation,
both.
yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I think as if you're selling something, you have to do both. Unless you really know your client that well, then you can do that. So like for myself, again, this is important. How many people have done like a DISC profile, DISC, like something like that, right? So, so any of those personality profiles, if you can identify, so like I'm very task oriented. I'm going to give you that because I feel like it's going to fall off the table. I'm very task, right? So when I have a relationship with someone, like I'll come along and I'll be like, you know, hey, how's it going? All that type of stuff. Small talk for me is really not important. I don't need small talk in relationship. If you're coming to me, you can come to me pretty directly, like, Grant, I need this from you. And I'm fine with that. But I know a lot of our clients are not. A lot of our clients are emotional or like relationship driven. So I'll be like, hey, how's it going? How's the family? What's going on? You know, how's your spouse doing? You know, how's your oldest son doing in college? All that type of stuff before I will actually come to, hey, I need this from you. Okay. That's not natural for me. I don't necessarily need that conversation about my kids and family. So I understand that I'm aware of how people want to interact with me and how they want to be talked to. So it's really important to be able to kind of mirror that and go from there. Because if you're like in the DISC, if you're a high D, you're just about task. You're driven, right? You're like, you have time, no time for that whatsoever. And the people that are relationship are like, that person is just like rude. Like he just like demands stuff on me. But really that person just doesn't have a high enough intelligence to know that he's being rude. Right. So he's just driven to do that type of stuff. So again, you have to understand that on these two things, you have to talk to both people depending on who's sitting around the table. So if you're going to a sales, like I said, if you're going into a sales meeting, ask some simple questions. Like again, in the sales process, if you're listening more than talking, you're going to start to hear words like this. Oh, you're going to start to hear words like what they're saying. Like, here's the pain point. I'm looking for appearance. Like I want my backyard to be this, you know, my brother-in-law has this beautiful backyard and I want to top his backyard. Okay. Well, that's going to be emotional reasons. He's going to buy from you emotionally, not because his backyard's simple, not because it's functional. He's buying to one up his brother-in-law. Right. So for you as a contractor, you're like, perfect. I know where we're going to go with this. Right. So let's do a better complicated, you know, let's do a more complicated backyard than your brother-in-law. Thoughts, questions on this? How many of you people have thought about this before when you're going into a sales? Yeah, Trevor? How do you guys do quite a bit of training, I'm assuming. I think you guys do. What do you train your staff with?
Just basically gathering information. And I think it's about asking questions and gathering those resources and then coming back with a sales approach that suits that type of individual.
Okay. Yep. Riverwood.
I think a lot of it has to do with what you're selling as well. So like I find with like things like drainage, right? They're looking for a solution. So you're like problem solving. So that kind of person is more on the rational side of like, I have water in my backyard. You're here to fix it and I want like a sure thing, right? Whereas like you got to do a backyard design or gardens or sod, those people are stressed out or they're like, I hate that my yard looks like this. I don't want like it to look like this anymore. It's really overgrown. They're typically emotional reasons. So like we try before we go and even like meet with a client, asking those questions to kind of know what direction they're going for, right? So that also helps you kind of just guide them in the right direction with what they want.
Mm-hmm. I think asking the question, Trevor had talked about this, asking good questions up front and actually writing those questions down prior to going to visit them. right? Like having a list of questions that you want to ask them. So.
I always like to have both decision makers in the room. So I always ask who's actually making these decisions, because sometimes the couple, one person will be no, they won't make any decisions. I said, even on the price, you won't float it by them, and they'll say, oh yeah, maybe and then you're like, well, maybe that person should be in the room. Even though they say, it's always great to have both decision makers, or any decision makers, if they're doing this for the kids. I've had that reason. It's all around the kids, and so you want them part of it too, so they get the buy-in, and it usually makes the project go a lot better.
And really, what we're doing for explaining this is we're trying to increase your sales close, right? We're hoping that when you look at this, you're going to close more work. Which again can create more profitability for you, but it also means that most of us do the sales in the evening or on a Saturday or wherever like that. So just saying, like, if I can increase my closing rate by talking about these things or talking to people like this, it helps on that. So, Andrew, did you have one?
I was just going to say, we've been thinking a lot about these two columns that you have here, rational versus emotional, over the last year as it relates to our marketing strategy. What we're trying to put out there in the digital space. So when people are scrolling on Instagram, they're in a different frame of mind. So it's more emotional. So people don't want to be sold when they're scrolling. So that then has an impact. There's an implication for what you're putting out then with your images in front of your prospective clients, right? So we've really tried to focus on how do we elicit emotional responses from what we're putting out there. So if we're in a marketing, we're here talking about marketing.
Yeah,
that's a big part of what we're doing too. So depends where we're talking.
Yeah, for sure. And again, as landscapers, who most of us grew up in this world as landscapers and moving dirt and cutting grass and plowing snow, this isn't something we were taught in school or were natural bent towards. If you went to marketing school, you kind of thought this way, or you had a desire to learn that. But for majority of it, just like myself, I'm speaking to myself here, not something naturally I think about. So I have to go into that meeting thinking about these things and being reminded of it when I go into that. So even today, as I sell coaching, I have to go and say, okay, who am I talking to? Why would someone buy from us? Is it emotionally or is it rational? I think for us, it is both. Okay. Scott, any other feedback on that one? Like, you guys, I think Intrigue does a really good job, like really understanding the why behind what you guys are doing, right? So. Yeah.
Careful with the speaker there. The channel is a big thing. So to your point, people are going to react differently if they're looking at like a newspaper article or a print ad that's very specific to what they're doing, or if they're scrolling in their free time on Instagram. So it's a really good point.
Okay, good. Okay, the next one that talks about in the book is kind of goes back to pricing strategy. So they had a whole section on pricing strategy. Again, it kind of jumps around a little bit, but so we're going to talk next month or in February about how to come up with some of that pricing strategy. But they talked a lot about it is like, what should the estimate have when you are selling an actual product, right? So this is more the sales than the marketing side of it. But when you're selling a product or service, it talks about these are the things you have to remember. So you have to make sure, I think most of us think about this, where most of us are really good at talking about labor, like, okay, how much labor it's going to take to do that. That's mostly, we're really good at talking about materials. I would say equipment, we don't do enough about equipment. Maybe we may think about equipment as far as like, we'll send a truck here. But what is actually all the equipment that we're going to do? Like, is it a truck? Is it a 550 with a float trailer and an excavator skid steer? And like, how many days should that be on there? So try to be as specific as you can when you're thinking about equipment. Subcontractors, I think most of us think about, again, because typically like we're putting a pool, we need the gas guy, we need the electrician, we need the roofer. So I think majority of us do think about this. Overhead is where most of us fail miserably on this. And really it's just the overhead is understanding what overhead is, right? So I think we get the first four really, really well, but we don't we don't then look at overhead. And again, this is a perfect example from my own life as a contractor, is that this is the overhead part is what I would start to justify knocking off the price. Right? Because they're like, well, you know what? I think I can do it faster, or like maybe I don't have as much overhead as someone else does. I can probably do a little bit cheaper, and not really understanding what overhead is and what that all entails. And then contingencies. So again, we're really good problem solvers, but typically we typically underestimate the amount of time it's going to do, because we don't necessarily think about all the stuff that could go wrong. On the other side, if you always thought about everything go wrong, you're never going to get the job, right? So it's kind of a balance there of what that is. But especially if you've never done some sort of job, like I know one of our clients will do excavation. All their excavation work is time and material, because they just realized they've excavated enough work and then they just run into something. Like they said they did a job this summer, they excavated the backyard and there's a whole pool, concrete pool under there that just was cracked, like just filled in. Well, you can't see that. Right? So a lot of site work is time and material. And they're just like, based on once we know what the foundation is, we can give you an accurate price from there up. But if we don't know what's under the ground and we're guessing at it, we need some sort of contingency there to be able to do that. And again, you don't want to do that at a flat rate that realizes there's a pool there. Right? So, because then it becomes a really hard conversation. And then how long is it going to take you to break out the pool? You don't know. So again, start thinking about contingency, and then obviously it's just profit. And we're again, like I said, we're going to talk about this one, but you have to make sure you're building in that and to be profitable, or long term, we're not going to be around. So again, I think we do a pretty good job on this one. But there's a whole thing. Again, if you have the book, go through it. But they talk a lot about pricing strategy when it comes to that. So promotional mix and strategies. So promotion, this is this is some really good. I pulled these two definitions out because I thought these were excellent definitions for so promotion is all the activities involved in the communication of your firm's product and service to consumers, thereby convincing them to buy from your company. So the promotion then is all kinds of, it could be print ad, it could be your website, it could be Instagram, it could be the next door neighbor talking about how they did your backyard. It could be your brother-in-law telling, you how well the company that he just hired you his backyard did. So all kinds of mediums that allow you to, it's the activities that go into that. And then the advertising is the process of informing potential clients about your products. Sorry, I screwed that up. Promotion is the activities involved in that, and the advertising the process by informing potential clients about your product and service and why they should deal with you instead of with someone else. So I thought it was really good. Even if I've read it, I've screwed it up a little bit, but those are two good definitions of what promotion and advertising are. Comments, questions, examples, Andrew? Oh, sorry.
Just a question. Do you have any idea what percentage you should allocate as a company to
marketing and yes,
promotion?
Yes, I do. I actually have that answer for you. 2%. That's kind of what the number we've typically budgeted for people. And I would say 2% go back over the last couple of years. And if you haven't spent any money in the last 5 years on it, the first year you're going to have to spend more than 2%. Okay. So, but if you're spending year over year, if you kind of have a marketing budget, stuff like that, typically spend 2% of your top line revenue on advertising. Where you spend that, I don't have a clue where you should spend it. Honestly, hire Intrigue or another marketing company to spend that wisely for you. Cause again, that's out of my wheelhouse for sure. But 2% is what you should be spending on average. So like I said, take the last 5 years, take your top line revenue. What have you spent in the last 5 years? If it's not close to 2%, you need probably spend 3 or 4% for the first couple of years to kind of get going, or you're not going to have a big enough budget for the marketing firm to help you with. So that's a really good question. So good. Okay. Some resources that if you love to read, listen to audio podcasts, these are some of the books that I really, really enjoy that have been recommended to me. So anything, this is Marketing by Seth Godin. Anything that Seth does is amazing. So real easy to read, really simple to understand. Amazing marketing person, but really, like I said, like for me, even I'm a sales and marketing dummy. He makes it really easy, and I always get energized when I read anything of his. The Disney Way, it's more sales and the customer experience. Has anyone been to, like, does anyone know what university you love Disney? I forgot about that. So Disney University, yeah. So like they pretty much teach you how they run Disneyland, right? And you walk into Disneyland and it is amazing. Like you don't even realize all the things they're doing until you start to read something on Disney University. But the Disney Way is an amazing book to read. I read this book, and then about a year later, we went to Disneyland, and I was just like, Marla's like, can you please pay attention to the rides and everything going on? I'm like, they actually pick up the garbage everywhere. Like it's amazing. Right. So, and I know you appreciate all the horticultural stuff that goes on at Disney World too, but yeah, but probably one of the best organizations for how they interact, how they market, how they sell it, and how they actually like implement it for people as if experiences for that. So, so anything you can read on Disney is really, really good. Chick-fil-A, Kitchener has a Chick-fil-A, do they not? London had one open on Tuesday, and apparently it was like huge lineups. Like they had to have police at the intersection to stop the traffic lights because there were so many people lined up for Chick-fil-A. What was that? For a year. Yeah. So we had been in the one where's the one Homer Watson Road in Kitchener? Where is it? By the mall, right? Fairway Mall. It's across from Fairway Mall. So we typically go to Chick-fil-A in the States. If we go to the States, we travel in the States, we always stop. But if who's never been to a Chick-fil-A? You guys have never been to a Chick-fil-A? Okay, this is your homework. Okay. Your homework is visit a Chick-fil-A in the next 30 days. Okay. The amazing part of Chick-fil-A is just a little bit of history. Family-owned business still. Chick-fil-A is not open on Sunday. They're only open 6 days a week, Monday to Saturday. They're not open Sunday for their beliefs. They feel that everyone should have a family day, so they do not open on Sunday. They are, for a restaurant count, the revenue per store, they beat everyone in revenue store by quite a bit, open 6 days a week compared to everyone else being open 7 days a week. Okay, the customer experience is amazing as far as fast food goes. The other great thing about Chick-fil-A is if you look at their menu, they only have like 6 things. Like you can get a chicken sandwich, you get 3 chicken sandwiches. They have nuggets, you only have 3 types of nuggets. They only have chicken fingers, you only have 3 types of chicken fingers. But people are like religious about Chick-fil-A. Like it's almost not a cult. Cult's not the right word, but in parts of the States, it's like religion for them. It's amazing. So again, if you ever want to read something about Chick-fil-A, but just the fact that they're only open for fast food, they're only open 6 days a week, and they do more revenue than a McDonald's does, open 7 days a week. Really, really impressive. Again, Purple Cow by Seth Godin is really, really good as well. My favorite story, I think my first book that I ever came across that I really understood marketing was by Donald Miller. Is Building a Story Brand. And this book we've read a bunch of times. We've read this as far as our leadership team goes as well. So in Story Brand, it's talking about what he talks about is there's in every movie, in every good story, there's a guide and there's a hero. Okay. And typically as humans, we want to be the hero. So if we're the salesperson, this is where it comes about, you know what, our company is amazing. We do this amazing thing. Talk about me. And I know Intrigue, I listened to Rob at Intrigue this afternoon, and he's like, you have to stop talking about you, right? We are the guide. So we are here to make your client look good, right? So again, it's taking that whole thing about not being us and not being about what I can do, but what we can do for you. So again, he talks about a guide and a hero, and every movie, he goes through tons of different movies, and you can actually see like the Karate Kid, right? Like the guide is the Mr. Miyagi, right? And the Karate Kid is the boy, right? So it's the hero is Mr. Miyagi because he's the guide, right? You know, it's the Karate Kid that becomes, you know, it's all about him, but it's Mr. Miyagi's the hero. And that's why that story resonates with so many of us, because most of us, human nature means that we were looking for a guide. We're not looking for a hero, right? We want to be the hero, but we need a guide to come alongside us. right? So again, even tonight, as you're walking around, be a guide to someone, right? Just help them out. Just give something to them, help them out, because that's naturally what we want to do, to be able to do that. Pumpkin Plan is really good. So talking about the Pumpkin Plan is a great book about what we do and why we do it. And this whole book talks about just like focusing our business, why we do what we do, and great examples, real easy to read. If you're not a reader, and I was not 10 years ago, I made it through high school, college without successfully reading one book from start to finish, which was always something I prided myself on. And now I will devour books. I devour audiobooks. So if you're not a reader, I really suggest that you do. Anyone Audible fan? Anyone listen to Audible? Scott, you listen to Audible? Yeah. You're an Audible fan? Yeah. Okay. So Audible is amazing. So it's really good. Like the books are dirt cheap. You can pretty much get like $13 for a book. If you get really good, you listen to earbuds, you can listen to books. I can listen to book like 1.75 the speed right now if I take the dogs for a walk. Most books I get right now, I will listen to Audible first. And then if I really like it, then I'll go back and buy the paper version of it. And then I'll take notes and highlight it and stuff like that. But really, and again, our industry is not good at reading. Like I said, I prided myself on not reading a full book all through grade school. That was my pride. That wasn't, well, like after I said that a couple times with my kids, my wife was like, please stop saying that in front of your boys. Because I don't want them for that. And then the Business Made Simple podcast is again by Donald Miller. And again, it's a regular podcast if you're listening to a podcast, but just really easy marketing things that you can do to market your business, and just really practical stuff. And a lot of it, he does talk a lot. For some reason, he must have a heart for people in the trades, because he uses a lot of trade references in his examples as well, which is really, really cool. So Scott, any other good, what would you recommend for books? I know you guys in Trigger are the resources that they should be able to use.
There's a really good book called Hooked, like hooked on a product.
Yeah.
And actually, let me tell you who it's written by. Hooked Traction is another really good one. Hooked is written by Emily McIntyre.
Okay.
And it's just around developing products that people can't get away from. So the service is so good, the product that you delivered was so good that they're not going to go somewhere else. They're going to continue to be with you.
Okay, good. Other resources that you should, like, not just books, but other resources you guys recommend?
Check out our website.
Check out the website. Is there resources there?
There's a ton of resources there. There's a ton of blogs. It's all specific to landscaping. It's written in your language. I would check it out.
Okay, good. Anyone else have any resources they'd be willing to share that has helped them in their sales and marketing? Pardon? Oh, okay. Other resources, not necessarily books, but if you've listened to someone or watched someone, like, again, we're looking for someone to share. So Adam?
Green Industry Podcast, which is hosted by Single Ops, which is software.
Okay, good resource. Okay. They talk a lot about marketing and sales and stuff like that. Okay. Who else wants? You guys have great marketing. You guys have great branding and stuff like that. Is that natural for you? No? Okay.
Outsource it. Hire and
Outsource
train. Yeah. Sandler Way is great for sales. And a lot of it is talked about marketing, and a lot of that goes to listening to the client and stuff. There's a great book. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's Sales the Sandler Way, and it was really, really well done.
Okay. Yeah, we've talked about Sandler a couple times. And if you've never done, Andrew Wall is in Milton, I think. Milton, right? And a great industry person. But he teaches a great sales course. It's called the Sales Submarine, I think. I think I can see it on the wall. And it talks about, like, it's a visual of, you need to walk people through the whole submarine step by step. If you start to skip a step in that, the chance of you closing that sale it becomes diminished significantly, right? So if you have a sales team, if you have someone that just does sales and they've never done sales training before, invest in sales training. Okay. You will not go wrong like this. Even if they've sold stuff before, invest in some sort of online sales training. Talk to Andrew Wall. He does a great job of sales training and stuff like that. But please, please, please spend the money. Most of us don't know how to sell, right? At least on that side of it, to do a half decent closing rate. So, okay. Earthscape, do you guys have good? What do you guys have a? Oh, sorry.
Like basically did the same thing that Stanley did, but someone.
Not Sandler?
But like same.
Okay. Okay.
It's very helpful.
Yeah, okay. Andrew? Whispering Pines does a great job.
Thank you. Something that was formative for me so I wasn't raised in the landscape industry. I was raised in the sales industry. But a book that was formative for me was called Let's Get Real or Let's Not Play by Mahan Khalsa. And I guess perhaps similar. I don't know anything about Sandler, but there's some really just meaningful nuggets in there. As you were talking about, I wanted to say it earlier when you were talking about the rational versus the emotional. The one thing that stood with me throughout my years was intent counts more than technique. So Sandler talks about the submarine and the sales process, which of course you need to know all the different stages of the selling process. But that's what resonates with me is when you're in front of a client, they can sniff a fake person out anytime. So it doesn't matter what your technique is. If your intent is to serve them, they're going to see that.
They're going to see it. Yeah. So I would say for myself, I have high intent, but I lack the skills to close the deal. So you need both. Right? I would be like, well, because I'm offering such good service and I'm offering like, I don't want to screw the person, but then my closing rate was so low, but I still need the skills to understand how to talk to people, right? Or how to talk to both. I always talk to people that are like me, right? So, and if I was selling to a emotional person, I would never connect with them because I was always talking about rational reasons why you should buy my product, which is not necessarily true. So, okay. Anyone other services or product that you've had good luck with?
I think just in general, as landscapers, most of us aren't large enough to have an in-house marketing team. And it's something that we're not really good at. And I know myself in the past have just, you'll go into a home show here, you'll put a flyer out here and there's no plan or there's no strategic. And so hiring and outsourcing it, I think is something that we should just really hire the professionals to do it, no matter what size it is of the company you run.
Mm-hmm. Apply for an app or apply for a grant. So, Carrie, someone at the back. Oh, sorry. It's coming back. Okay. Oh yeah, if we don't want to forget the online.
Cassie had a question. Does the 2% include money spent in-house on employee retention and recruitment?
Oh, good question. I would say no. 2% should be spent on like actual like an agency or print ads or like lettering the trucks to me would be that would go to your percent, right? Like uniforms would go to sales and marketing because someone's walking around with your logo, that would go to it. But I wouldn't say no, I would say no, not in that stuff. So any other questions from online? No? Good? Okay. Okay, so again, final question. So this is your homework. One homework is those of you who did not put up your hand for Chick-fil-A, you'll visit Chick-fil-A this quarter or this month, right? Or you have till February. So you have 2 months to visit Chick-fil-A. You know my number. Let me know your experience. I think you won't be disappointed. Do not go to London this week because it'll be packed. I guarantee it. But the one across from the mall is there. So I'd like to go around. We'll take the mic and we'll pass it around. Again, you can answer all these questions. You can answer some of them. But what do you think you do well in this area? Do you think you do sales and marketing well? If you do, that's great. That's awesome. Why do you think you do well? What areas of improvement would you make within the business when it comes to sales and marketing? What do you want to do in the next 30, 60, 90 days to improve those programs? And then how does spending time and resources on these areas improve your current business? Okay, so we gave you one big practical thing. We gave you an opportunity to get some government money to start spending on this. Scott's gave it of his time to stay here and talk through that. But yeah, so I'd just like to go around and just, again, maybe one good takeaway tonight, or what's one thing you're going to do this in the next 2 months to improve your sales and marketing. So I think we'll start over here. So Trevor will hand the mic around. And then we'll do the online people last, Carrie. So either aha moment that like, hey, I learned something tonight, or this is what I want to improve on. We'll keep it simple to 2 questions.
I think for us, a big thing, and this is my opinion, is that we, promotion wise, I think advertisement wise, we do a decent job, but we're not consistent. So that's the biggest thing that, and me coming into sales right now, for Trevor wanting me to kind of wrap my head around that and do a good job on that, because I don't think we do a good enough job on it now. And we're fortunate, a lot of our retention, I think, is maybe local or word of mouth, but Instagram and social media now is crazy big. So tap into that.
Okay, that's good.
Right. I'm fairly new to the business, but I can say from the short experience I got in the summer, doing landscaping work, I did maybe 20 projects. One thing I can say I do well is the follow-up with the customer. I take pride in my work. So once a project is done, I give them a call after 2 weeks to follow up to see how things are looking. After a month, I go myself and have a look and make sure, the customer is satisfied. So that's one thing I take pride of in terms of, relationship with the customer. In terms of things I would like to improve is maybe bookkeeping. I'm fairly new, as I said. I'm pretty sure most of the people here, they see more receipts than I do.
Okay.
The receipts that I get, like gas, everything I pay for, it's like I find it sometimes overwhelming, keeping up with like organizing all the receipts and making sure everything is documented. That's maybe one thing I can work on.
Okay, perfect. That's great. That's awesome. Okay.
One kind of, not really, it's hard to put into words. The takeaway is when you were bringing up like selling a product, like you're not selling snow plowing, you're selling the idea of a clean, safe sidewalk, for example. Just kind of a better way to think about things when you're going into sales. So not really kind of a takeaway, just a different mindset, just something to think about a little.
My number one weakness, like I always go back to what we're so plowing and maintenance company, right? So.
Okay, so we are doing the property management for over 12 or 13 years. So after tonight, I was thinking we may have to help our current client, customer, to help them to do the maintenance. Yeah, so we just starting the snow shovel and lawn maintenance since this year. Yes, so we are thinking about maybe we can help our current landlord, current owner to do that, because their trust is our most important things. Yes, so I'm thinking that it's our difference between the other company.
The other companies. So that's your differentiation on that then, right? Okay,
Mhm.
that's good.
So
Awesome.
we have over 200, 300 clients right now. Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's good.
Awesome. I'm thinking about that.
Perfect. Okay.
I hadn't heard about CDAP, so I want to connect with our digital marketing
We got
firm.
one. Well, maybe not. Maybe not.
We already have a digital marketing firm, but
okay. Sorry. Oh, sorry, Scott.
But how can we get more free money?
I tried. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they voted me to speak.
Again?
Of course.
Okay.
Yes. So CDAP, of course, I'm going to look into that. I've had other people approach me about it. I really didn't know what it was though. So probably look into that. And I think we do summer pretty well for marketing. I do read a lot of marketing books. I can't tell you all the names of them, but they are all right beside the bed. So I'm pretty good on the marketing for the summer. We're just getting our heads around the marketing on being an equipment dealer. So we're probably going to be changing a bit on the like not selling a product. So we sell plows and salters.
Yeah.
But our main goal is to be able to service people.
Yeah.
Because we service all plows and salters. So it's getting that service out there, because a lot of people come back to us just for that. And the reason that I have people traveling like an hour, hour and a half just for parts, because we have the largest parts department around for
Yeah.
stuff. So we're going to be looking at marketing that
Okay.
kind of thing, like, and looking at marketing. Well, with we just voted on a new logo.
You voted on a new logo. Excellent.
Yeah, yeah.
Good.
Changing everything for next year. So things will roll out in the
Yeah.
marketing. I now have a budget of my 2% of the gross revenue.
Good. Excellent.
I now have that to go on all of those other things that we're bringing out for next year with this
Good.
logo.
Including the strategic plan from last month.
Yes.
You guys got lots to do.
I have a ton to
You
do.
ton to do.
Tons.
Okay.
Maybe until next year and we'll have it all done.
Yeah.
Price of salt just went up today.
I might have a sale.
What I liked tonight was be a guide, not a hero.
Okay.
I thought that was a really good one. And then I also liked the way that people talked about the benefit versus what the actual service is, and so selling the actual benefit over top of, hey, you know, you just need this because it's gonna look
Gonna look good,
better.
right? Yeah.
So,
So, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
A couple things, the Seed app, well, I'm gonna bring that up to the company on tomorrow. And then we do a good job at marketing ourselves for high-end jobs. But so we're kind of in that niche, and with the market changing and not everyone not spending that much money, so kind of changing our niche and opening up to maybe kind of the smaller end jobs and like doing something there. So kind of that marketing. And then also everyone spending money on Google. We find our best clients are our actual like referrals from previous clients.
Yep.
Or repeat customers. So it's kind of marketing to them rather than marketing to people that can't afford us or they aren't really looking for stuff like that. So that's kind of our strategy.
Your perfect clients in the same circle, right? Right. So they go in that same circle. So
I'm a little new to sales, so deciphering between the rational and emotional is pretty interesting to me. I think I personally am more of an emotional person.
Yeah.
So just learning kind of how to deal with people that are a little bit more rational and maybe not taking it personally if they don't want to have a huge conversation before getting to the point of the sale. And then something I think that Kerr Landscaping does really well is the way we lay out our estimates and how we're like pretty upfront with all of our costing and everything. So
okay, good. So we'll do Bellevue table, and then we'll do the online guests.
I think what we do really well, probably because we're such a tight-knit team, is everyone's all on the same page about why Bellevue exists. We always talk about like landscaping is just the byproduct of what we try to actually do. And everyone's more or less understands that, but I think we can really get more into the weeds about that. So when we're talking to our customers, it comes out more naturally, even on like the production level staff. But up to this point, we haven't invested much into marketing, and we've talked a lot about that internally. That has to be a big focus this year. Just marketing in general.
Yep. Okay, online, Carrie's right behind you.
So Colin said we need to work on our pitch about what makes us different. We have begun this process and have our three uniques, but our delivery could use some work. We also spend too much on marketing and we need to bring it down by 2%, likely by spending our money smarter or by tracking what is and isn't working. And then Tanner says sales education.
Okay, good. Okay. The last one I'd like to talk, Scott, a couple of marketing mistakes that contractors make. Sorry, let me get you so what do you see us as an industry mistakes that we should watch out for when we're doing that?
So I think the biggest thing is traditionally a lot of landscape companies are trying the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, which is, the definition of insanity. So try something new, work with professionals, and be open-minded to digital marketing. A lot of the landscape companies that we work with traditionally have gotten to this point by just based off of word of mouth. And they've been successful in doing it, but taking things digital can kind of upgrade you and bring you to the next level. I'd also say like timing this time of year is key. So if you're a green focus, like a green season focused company, now is the time to start ramping up your marketing to fill up next year. About 85% of our green focused companies saw a drop this year in projects planning for 2024. So now is the time that it makes sense to do things now and leverage the free government money. I will say that only a handful of companies are certified to deliver the CDAP program. So just make sure and investigate if you're already working with a firm, find out if they are registered with the Government of Canada to be able to do the CDAP program. If they are, great. If not, then happy to have some further conversations.
Okay, awesome. So February, so we'll see everyone in January. We're all at Congress, so we'd like to see everyone in Congress. Again, if you're new to the industry or you're looking for information, Congress has tons of stuff, always exciting. February, corporate finance management. We're going to talk about income statements and balance sheets. We're going to talk about ratios, industry benchmarking. We're going to talk about importance of budgets. They talk about business cycles, job costing, working capital, inventory management, cash flow projections, vehicle leasing versus purchase versus rent. So that's February's content. So that will be a good one. I enjoy the finance part of it. So anyways, contact information is there. Again, thank you so much everyone for coming. Thank you for interacting. Thank you for making this easier for me by giving me examples and stuff like that. My little experience in sales and marketing. Have a great night. If there's pizza there, please take a box of pizza home with you. We do not want to throw it out, and we will see everyone back here in February. So have a good night.